Welcome to Radio Fixer's channel. Subscribe for upcoming videos. This radio was donated to me, built in Inglewood, California from 1950s to 1970s in both tube and solid state variant. I highly suggest going back and watch other episodes regarding this restoration where we took the cabinet apart and fabricated the missing part and also restore the entire cabinet. I will add all the product that I'm using in the comment section of this video. Feel free to check them out. Enjoy the video. In episode 3, I am focusing on troubleshooting the chassis by bridging capacitors and resistors to identify the problem area. Also testing and replacing capacitors and resistors as needed. Test power cord, polarity, and install polarized cord, and troubleshoot AM and FM section. Let's get started. Somewhere in the bottom there's a subscription button. Go ahead and select that, and also there's a bell. Select that bell so it notifies you whenever I upload new video. Put your thumb up. What this does, it notifies other people they enjoy this hobby. Help me if my subscription goes up, man. Make me look good. All right. I appreciate you. I removed the screws. This is speaker to be able to polish this as well. And here the speaker connection is close to the power cord. So I'm recording this to remember when I put it back together, so I don't install it incorrectly. The speaker, as you see, is in great condition. That is good. I'm going to cover this, of course, put it away so it doesn't get damaged. And they have this like a cardboard which I need to clean. It's very dirty. I don't know why it's there, but we're going to put it back. All right. And test this large electrolytic capacitor. As you see, it's a we call it capacitor. See, they have a symbol right here. This symbol, which is in the back, should be 1,000 microfarad, 25 volts, 1500. That is for a square sign. Again, 25 volts, and 300 for 15 volts. That's triangle. So I test all of them. They're very, very off. I set it here to be able to work on this. This is for the first one. Is like a half moon design. You see, it's not even reading. It says leaky capacitor. So that's supposed to be 1,000 microfarad, 25 volts. So that's pretty bad. So let's test the other one. This is supposed to be 1500. I see it's very, very over. It's almost 3,000 microfarad, 299 too. Let's test the 300 volt. See, this is 399, way over. So that electrolytic capacitor, that large container, all of them, they're bad. Let's see the best way to fix this. All right. So usually what I do, I remove this and install the new capacitor inside this container. To do that, I have to disconnect everything here. Usually I disconnect everything, then I pull this out, and then I stuff it with the new capacitor. But I really don't want to do that. I don't want to remove all this stuff, It's soldered so nice. See that? This bunch of components is soldered to it. So this time I'm going to do a little different way. I'm going to cut this, install all the capacitor here, then I put this back on it. I will show you. Let's see if I can repair it the other way. It should be doable. Alright, it's already cut and they're all cleaned. This capacitor was very different than the other one I have seen. The other ones usually they have tar inside. This one was totally different. This was wrapped, and I think they wrapped it with some type of cloth. I don't know if it was fiberglass cloth that they wrapped it or was asbestos to cool this off. I'm not sure. That's why I disposed all of them. I suggest very highly when you do this type of work, do outside the house, wear a mask, always to protect yourself. Or this is the first time I'm cutting here without removing, as I mentioned earlier. It took some time. You have to be very careful not to hit anything. You know, I had to cover all those, and it takes a while. You have to do a little bit at a time. I had to take this blade out of this tool because it wasn't working, you know, especially this area. So I took this out and, you know, gradually cut it like that. You know, you have to be very gentle, not hit anything. So next I had to put some capacitor together. I do not have 1500 microfarad, but I have two others. This is 1000. And this is a little over 500. So I put them together. I will show you the measurement. And always what you do, you tie negative together, as you see I did here, then positive together. And usually when I want to do that, I use some heat shrink, put a small piece on the positive side, both sides, then I twist them, like what I did here. See that? Hopefully you can see this. See, the positive has that, then I twist it. The negative, usually you don't need to do that unless you want to. And this is for 300. Okay, so one of them is 100, another 220. So we assume should be 320, right? Let's test it. You see it's a 301, because sometimes capacitor is not exactly what they say, they're a little off. So I'm getting 300. All right, let's test this one. Okay, these together is 1592, which is acceptable range because we're looking for 1500, and is 1000 one of them. The other one says 680. So 1680 should be 1680, but here really is 1500. You know what I'm talking about? So don't go by what the capacitor actually they tell you here. You know, when you put them together, you can see, you know, I'm pretty close to that range. Hopefully this makes sense. Always capacitor, they're a little off. I'm going to cut a small piece of this, just pretty small one. This is the positive side. Again, you can do this with negative. See that? Now they both have that. Now I can twist them together like this. That's all you have to do. Of course, for 1000, I do have 1001. So these are all goes inside this canister. I will show you how I'm going to install them here. So here I put all negative in the center. You see that? They're all negative twisted together in the center. The positive, they're outside. Of course, before I twist them together, I made sure it fit here. Like that, all right? So before you twist them, you know, arrange them here, figure out, you know, how you need to set this up, all right? So I'm going to use my multimeter to see the pen underneath which one they are. Like I set this one on the 300, so I'm going to put it in the sound. So this is the 300. You see this one? So this is 300. You see here I marked all of them. And there is a square, which is a 1500, goes here. This is the triangle. The triangle is a 300. And the half moon, I call it right here. I marked it. That's 1000. Now I know exactly where they need to be installed. I'm using my Dremel to put 3 holes here, but I do not want to mess up with the marking that they have, so I'm going to go in the side of it. So I already put 1 hole. I need 2 more. Just here I want to show you the holes. See, 1 hole I put here, another hole there, another hole there. The center is going to be ground. You still can see the symbols: triangle, square, and half moon, I call it. Alright, so I left those symbols so next person knows, where this thing is being connected. Alright? Just want to show you, this is how I look like. I put a shrink tube here in all of them. I add wire to everything, include ground. So now it's much easier to send this through those holes that I made. Alright, this is how I look like. So before I trim them, I'm going to test them here, then mark them to see what size I need to cut them back. Alright, just made them long so be able to adjust them later. So triangle is 300, a square is 1500, that's 1000. So that's a 300 is yellow. I guess yellow goes right here. As you see here, I already marked all these wires where exactly I need to trim them. So that's the best way to do, so everything fit perfect. Alright, see, that's why I marked them, so I know how much insulation I have to remove. See, all of them, they're different size. That's why you have to measure it before trim the insulation. As I mentioned in my other video, you always want to test before you install it. So 1 goes to the ground, which is green. This should be 300, so we're going to hook it up right here. Let's test it. Yeah, 300. ESR also is pretty good. See that? So now let's test the 1000. Blue is 1000. See, 976. And ESR is 0.05 ohm. This one is fine too. Now this should be 1500. 1590 microfarads, 0.03 ohm. So now I can install them. The reason I like to verify a few times, just to make sure. I don't want to install something that later on I realize, it was a bad capacitor. Maybe I overheated when I was soldering. So just for double check before you install. Otherwise, it's a lot of work to take it apart. Alright, let's install it now. Alright, let's replace the power cord. The power cord is right here. You see there's here the wire is red. It goes to the switch. And the other side, it goes to the black. So the black going to be ground. The red, of course, going to be the hot side. So we want to make sure we're going to use a polarized cord. And I want to show you how to figure that out. Make sure the hot side hooked up to the hot side, on and off switch. That's pretty important to do that. Alright, we're going to remove this. Of course, we're going to reuse this. This is, is holding the wire, so if somebody pull it, it doesn't come out. To remove that, usually you need a plier like that. See that? There's a small piece and a large piece. We want to press this down and pull it back. And take your time, don't damage it, because you're going to reuse this. Alright, I had to work on it a little bit. Finally come off. Man, that was hard to come off. But I can reuse this. You see, this is open like that. Look how it pressed the wire so deep. Unbelievable. Look at the wire. Look how it pressed it. Really is not necessary that pressure on it. No wonder I had such a hard time to pull this out. Man, it took me at least good 3 to 4 minutes to pull this out. I kept retrying. So you see that little pen right here? That's what it pressed it all the way in. The new one that you buy, you know, it's usually is not like this. It's much shorter. It doesn't do this with the wire. Man, they really were planning to secure this. Anyway, the wire is in good condition. The reason I had to cut it because it was not polarized, so I'm going to use polarized cord. Alright, what I did, I shortened this. Really, it doesn't need to be that long. See the piece I cut right here. Then of course I use the nail file and file it, make sure it's not sharp anymore to cut the wire, because that was too much, you know. So when you close this, you see it still will hold, but it's not going to be that hard press on the wire. I didn't want to damage the new cord. Alright, but again you have to clean it, make sure it's not sharp. Alright, this is polarized, you know, plug. See, one side is larger than the other side. It's the United States, that's what they do. The smaller one is a hot, this one is a common or ground. Some people they call it plus and minus. So the way you find out here to see which side it is, sometimes they mark them on the wire. Like this one is so hard, I don't see any marking at all in this wire, as you can tell. But sometimes they mark them which one is a hot. So to figure that out is pretty simple. Use your multimeter, put it on the sound, connect this to the hot, then let's see which one it is. See, so this is it. So what I do next to remember, since the wire has not been marked, just, you know, make that, put a little marker on it. You see, right, this is red, so I know this is going to be hot. So that's how I mark them. Again, to double test, you see. Alright, now let's install it. This is goes to the switch, right, to on and off switch. Alright, after I measure it, now I need to press this in. Then you press it like that in. Okay, now I can install it. Then I press it down like that. Okay, it is in. Now you see, it's not going to come out. I'm pulling it very hard. It's not coming out. Perfect. I'm going to solder the other side. Let's solder both sides and get it done. This is the second one. Alright, we're done with soldering the cord both sides. Alright, we want to install this. Let's see, I marked here, so I'm going to put it right where the mark was. Then I'm going to use this type of tape, cut it to the size and install around it. Yeah, this is a good tape for to do this type of work. I will add all the product that I'm using in the comment section of this video. Feel free to check it out. Alright, I put this thing up here, lined up the mark that I had. Good thing about this tape is, you know, take this out like that. Alright, that's installed. See, it's holding it pretty good. Still pretty secure. Alright, let's pursue. Alright, I soldered them. Now I hooked it up temporarily to test it. Of course, the light here is on. Don't know if you can see it or not. I don't want to touch the metal. I'm just holding up. See, the light is on. I'm just holding up to this pad. You don't want to touch the radio when it's on. Even I'm using, Variac. I'm also using oscillation transformer. I do not touch the radio. As you saw, I put the wooden knob back in. The light is on. I was able to make the AM work, AM radio. Let me put this thing down. You see, I'm going to turn it down. No, when I go to FM, nothing happened in FM. This is my third AM FM radio that AM work and FM does not work. This doesn't make any sense, So I need to figure out why FM is not working. And I don't have a schematic for this. That's what the issue is. Again, if you have some idea about why FM is not working, let me know. I already cleaned the contact. I know the contacts are not issue. When you switch from AM to FM, I clean those contacts. Something else is going on. Alright, you're not going to believe this. I was trying to test to see what's going on with FM. As you know, the AM was working. No, AM is not working either. Now both of them, they're not working. Let me do some more research. Let me show you a quick way to test your capacitors, especially something like this. You can use it for tube radio, this technique as well. But transistor, is so hard to get to them, the way they install them. So this is belong to my multimeter, one of the old one that I'm no longer using. I put in the end like a 2 alligator. Then I hook this up, to the capacitor, the same value of the capacitor that I'm testing. This they call bridging the capacitors. So what actually I can do when radio is on, I can go touch that capacitor, the pan, of course underneath of the chassis, or if you have access on the surface, to see if the radio start working better or not. And that is the quick way of you can test it, especially the radio that they give you a hard time. As you know, the best way is really to replace all capacitors on the old radios, and especially multi-capacitor that we discussed earlier. So you can use also the same tools to put resistor here. They call bridge the resistors that you think it might be an issue. So you can also use resistor and be able to touch where the resistors are to make sure the resistor is working. Get an old multimeter, just cut the end, put a couple of alligator clip on it, then man, you're in business. You're going to be happy with this. You can troubleshoot this quickly. And of course, sometimes we can reach the capacitor surface, as I shared with you, sometime in the bottom. You find out where they actually solder them. You can zoom in like this and I start looking every solder, make sure is okay, make sure there's no cold solder. What cold solder means, is not soldered correctly. So next thing what I need to do, I clean this board as well as I can, then zoom in with my phone, check every solder joint to see if there is any cold solder. Sometime in transistor radio, that's what the issue is, and I think that's why AM is not working, because in the past repairing other transistor radio, that's what I saw. So as you see, I did everything under the sun trying to troubleshoot this thing. So next thing, I'm going to clean this with alcohol, rubbing alcohol, cotton swab, and make sure to spend time to clean it pretty well. And sometimes you are able to have access to it like this. I can clean it. And don't be rough with this thing, just clean as much as you can. So I get a little cup, put a little alcohol in here to make my job easier. Then with cotton swab, of course, You go over and try to clean as much as you can. Take your time. Keep changing the cotton swab as soon as it gets dirty. Alright, so that's what I'm going to do the entire board. Alright, it's really clean now. You can actually see the circuit. Before you couldn't see that well. Alright, I'm going to let it dry. It takes a few seconds since it's rubbing alcohol. It's going to evaporate quickly. And I did this on the magnifying glass, of course, because it's much easier to see. So then I'm going to use my phone. I'm going to check every solder joint to see if they are okay or not, as I mentioned earlier. Alright? What next we're going to do, we're going to pinpoint the faults by tapping the parts. Let me show you how. So what I did, I got a piece of wood like this, a small one, and start tapping each transistor. There's 3 of them there, and about 3 here. So I just tap each of them like that, and nothing happened. Then there's a transistor right here. As soon as I tapped it, it started working, the FM again. I looked at it on the magnifying glass and I saw what happened. This is the transistor I was talking about, that it was touching this resistor right here. FM was not working because that resistor right here was hitting the body of the transistor. See that? So I just moved it. I got this and moved the resistor to the other side. Now FM worked very well. Here I just want to show you inside that little, I call it box, the tuning box I call it. Look at inside. I mean, it's so hard to get to those. That is actually a transistor. Right here, see they put metal around it. See that? I mean, how can you get to that? And underneath, if you want to get to this, watch here. This is underneath. All those need to be removed to be able to get to it. The way they designed this, I guess they didn't design it to be repaired. So anyway, that's why, I'm having a hard time with this radio. I work in many transistor radio, and I were able to fix them, but this is just totally different, as you see. Now that FM is working, now I need to focus on AM to see why AM is not working. And let's just stop the video here. I don't want this video to be too long. In next episode, I'm going to focus to troubleshoot AM using a single tracer as well as single injectors and a couple of other methods to see if we can track down the issue. So stay tuned. I'll be honest with you, it takes so much time to make these videos, editing, uploading, and make sure there's enough information that it actually makes sense, if you want to follow. At this time, I want to take the opportunity and thank my subscribers with their uplifting comment. You always encourage me to upload more videos, since this is just a hobby of mine. Again, I appreciate you. Enjoy all these videos, and you all have an awesome day. Take care. If you're interested to see more videos like this, feel free to subscribe to my channel, and you will be notified when a new video being uploaded. You have a great day.